not even one African will be in heaven unless one follows the following 7 steps into paradise. But let's clarify this paradise first. The word paradise is another name for heaven. Let's look at this word heaven. The word heaven comes to English through Low German and Saxon. In Low German, it's Heben, and goes through Saxon and comes into English, Old English, as Heophon, and in Middle English as heaven. In Old English, heaven meant sky or the firmament. Very critical. This is in the 8th century. By the 11th century, the term was Christianized to represent the home of God. And this God is a specific divinity, not the creator. So they go to quote the scripture here. Now they are pointing to that divinity. God creates everything, that's what they say, but that's not the creator. We know the concept and the doctrine of the creator. So it is from this word, sky, where the clouds are, where the heavenly bodies are, where you see the stars and everything, which is still a 3rd dimension anyway, where you get the term paradise, which is another name for heaven. And then says here is a place where everything is perfect and there is nothing but happiness. An exotic place with untouched beauty, the Garden of Eden. And then this word paradise itself came from the Avestan, which is in Persia there, and came into the Greek and Latin and Old French. This word paradise. Go to this positivedictionary.com. It's a paradisa. It's an enclosure or a park. And then royal enclosure, paradisos. That's in Greek. Royal enclosure. It's not divine, nothing, but just a kingly or monarchical park. And then in Old French is paradis. And then paradise now in English. Now, when we come to our own African heaven or African realm, there is a very clear-cut conception about it. That's why we reverence our ancestors, which is a heavenly paradise. In other words, it's in another dimension where Ausari rules. This Ausari is the ancestor. So that place where these ancestors live, in the ancestral realm, we call it Nikadzimu. This word existed thousands of years before Europeans ever knew that there was a place called Southern Africa. So the ancestral realm is Nikadzimu. It's completely and totally different from the paradise, the physical paradise explained by Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. Let's look at this topic, but not even one African will be in heaven, under a number of titles. So these are the steps that we consider as allowing you to enter into melanin-dominated ancestral paradise. The first step is birth. Second step is knowing your ancestry. Third step is rediscovering your life's purpose. Fourth step is preserving your physical and soul life. Fifth step is spiritual and physical growth. Sixth step is preparation unto death by removing fear. And the last step is death itself. Let's deal with this quickly and come to a very, very interesting conclusion. Actually, your birth, if you are not smart enough, is stolen. When you are born, right the moment you are born, you are stolen. And your destiny is totally and completely changed and diverted. How is it done? You must remember that you must change celebrating your birthdays and start acknowledging your natural life cycle based on 9 moons, any number of months that you spent in your mother's womb. First, you must reclaim your natural birth. How do you do that? By making sure you've gone through this cleansing and making sure you were born right. So your parents, your ancestry, your race, or some other entity have to have an authority and governance over your birth so that you can have a paradisical life in the now, in the moment you are born. If that is not done as preparation for the real one afterlife or into Nikadzimu, you will not go into paradise. But you are stolen at birth. But how? By anyone who will set up a system that governs you. What is to govern? These are the synonym of to govern: control, manage, regulate, rule, and lead. The government imposes on you so that you can be given a birth license to be alive and to live on the earth. If you do not have a birth license, you are not allowed to live comfortably on earth. Actually, you are a non-being according to the government. This birth license allows the government to legally claim you as its own corporation, its own creation, a fictitious you. They issue a birth certificate on which the proof that they own you is written in capital letters. That is the proof that they own you. We are going to give a lot of websites and references in our description where you can go and dig this further and further, because we can't do that. It needs a lot of videos to explain this and to learn this. So from this moment on, you are just an entity, and from there on, you are ceaselessly ruled, controlled, led, mandated, vaccinated, taxed, or even sent to die in useless wars, since you have agreed to be an artificial person via a factitious legality. So here's what this website says here, Amici Server Law. When we, the people, are registered, the birth certificate is spelled entirely in uppercase, otherwise known as Capitis Diminutio Maxima. Like that, Capitis Diminutio Maxima, the highest or most comprehensive loss of status. This occurs when a man's condition is changed from one of freedom to one of bondage, when he becomes a slave via the issue of a birth certificate. Your rights are swept away, and your citizen and your family rights are all swept away, and you become a member of a government. So what is government? Something that comprises of three branches. This, I think, we all ought to revise and revive. There is a legislature. Look at what the legislature does. It's a deliberate assembly with authority to create new laws, to alter existing ones, and to terminate old ones. So who tells us this? This is in a democracy, yes. So there's the executive, which is the president, the prime minister, or the leader of the junta. And then there's the judiciary, which is the system of courts that interprets and applies the law in the name of the state, in the name of the jurisdiction where you are living. But we know that the word government itself, and we know that govern, if you check any dictionary, it means to control, and the ment means mental. So when they say governmental, it says mental, there is the brain there. So it is really, the word government really means mind control. So they are really controlling your mind. There are no two ways about that. You can't escape that. So if you accept this status quo about your soul, the issue of the birth certificate, the issue of the authority and the power of the government over you, without any fight, without any quibbling, just accepting it nicely, it means you are a captured soul. So your first step into physical and spiritual paradise is to change this mentality and set up a secret name and tweak the general name that your parents gave you, so that it also becomes an acceptable name for you, because you were given this name without your consent as a child, as an entity. And the next step is you need to celebrate your natural birthday connected to your natural moon cycle. We have elaborated this in many videos. You have to avoid celebrating your birthday every 12 months when you actually spend a certain number of months in your mother's womb. So for details on this, how you can calculate and break this spell, send us an email, a specific email, to join@marifado.com, specifying really what you want us to assist you on. So steps 2 is knowing your ancestry, knowing your totems, knowing the divinities, and acknowledging the creator. You don't need to know or worship the creator. It is beyond your understanding. You will be wasting your time. So your totems, as we have already indicated, there is no African descendant who lives on the earth who is totemless. Do you know your totem? You must know your totem. This is your second step after cutting off the government control via the birth certificate and via other authoritative rules. Step 3, you have to rediscover your life's purpose. How to discover it? By studying and practicing Mahati first, and then experiencing anything that comes in your life, and be empowering yourself in terms of ability to solve any problems. What you need to remember and to understand is that you have got two purposes in life. Generally, you could have as many purposes as possible, but a minimum of two. The first is the purpose of the ninefold soul that is in you, or the spirit that is in you. And then the purpose of your physical body, flesh and blood, the lowest vibration, the solid you. And therefore, the solid you involves your brain, your thinking, nutrition, exercises, education, and the thinking clearly and accurately. So the soul is here on earth to experience matter using this vehicle with the senses that we have already indicated, the five senses, and above all other abstract issues that we find and meet on earth and in life. This is for all souls with a purpose. Life is and will always be about expanding one's thought of self. One can either make themselves miserable or make themselves strong. The amount of work is the same. You must stay strong and you must always think success. So this is the purpose of life. You must rediscover it as a step to liberate yourself. So life's purpose is tied to the laws of Mahati. You cannot live a purposeful life without knowing the laws of Mahati. Important. Now we go to step 4, which is the ability for you to preserve your physical and soul life, and knowing your enemies, ability to study, ability to think. And now we go to the next step, the ability to explore the unknowns, and also to create something and to be creative in this life. So this is step 4. So to create even your liberation and even your understanding. This is how, if you do not follow this, you are likely never ever be able to go to heaven. You will be lost. So the other step also is that you must run away from false religions. Christianity, Islam, Judaism, these are satanic religions that enslaved and colonized all of us. Because these are not of our melanin dominant human nature. They are created and crafted to sustain the systems that are already running this world. They are pagan and satanic. They have created earthly hell. They have also created a situation where your soul potential is diminished or even reduced by making your soul go to sleep. This is step number 4. Preserve your physical as well as your soul life. Step number 5. It's a spiritual and physical growth must be regularly re-evaluated to check if all is being maximized. It's from Marifado Bantu Mysteries. But how do we do that? We do that by increasing our perception and calmness in the face of threats, even death, to have no fear, to live a life full of serenity and happiness. We have this integrated completeness, the creative principle that deals with an individual as in all and subjective distortion, as well as conceptualization of the collective as an all. So detached compassion and unconditional love. This, you see, detached compassion must never be something that attaches to you. You must be compassionate, but it must not drive your emotions to the point of having boredom, depression, and being hampered in terms of your spiritual and physical growth. These are the 10 virtues of Mahati. We have explained them. Step number 6 is preparation unto death by a process of aging very, very well. In Cushitic Kemetic science, it is taught that the African is a nature or a divinity. However, it is not saying that you are born a divinity. You are to become a divinity. It is the same like saying a seed has potential to become a tree. But it cannot call itself a tree when it is a seed. It has to dig itself deep into the rich soil of the earth, to eat of the nutrients from the earth, to absorb the rainwater and the sunshine, and thereby to grow and to become a tree. In this same way, the African has potential of a god, but on condition that he develops himself into one, to become an Ausari, God dwelling in flesh, in you, reincarnation. Now, in your will, when you live and when you are alive on earth, you must leave a clear message that no Jewish, no Christian, no Islamic songs or messages or names or chants should be performed when you die. Otherwise, your relatives will continue to engage in pagan spirituality and help Christianity, Judaism, Islam steal your soul and direct your soul to a destiny that is not purposefully yours, and confuse your soul by singing during your burial or at your grave and crying to certain divinities or putting crosses and the Bibles on your cross just like this, so adopted by Greco-Roman deity Jesus. Christianity, Islam, Judaism are not cultural congruent. So these are melanin dominant human beings buried and signed off by their adoptive spirit. And this is syncretism, where they try to put the ankh as well as the cross. This will not also work. So you have to be clear, because your death begins the process, your final process, which is step number 7. Your friends, your family will walk and cry for you and take you to your tomb. So this is step number 7, where we say you should never be fearful of death, because death is a reality. Every one of us will die. So instruct your relatives to perform your full melanin dominant human rituals for your funeral and your journey. This is very, very critical. So like here we see in African, Chikaranga and Chibanu, everywhere they are performing a ritual for you to finally be put to rest. So when you die, you will be crossing the celestial river Nemajka into the land in the west. That's why it is also preferred in many, many traditions to have your head face west. The realm of the ancestors, that's where you started to pass through the gates of the labyrinth, and you'll be asked a number of questions by certain divinities. And the divinities created by these religions will be there also. And this is where we are saying knowledge is critical, imprinted in your soul. So Mahatic confessions and naming the 42 divinities will help you to go through these gates, being led into the great court of the underworld by the god Anubisa, and then addressed by the 42 judges about your deeds on the earth. So you'll be taken by Anubisa to the balance of truth to weigh your heart, and your sins will be following you there. If the heart wasn't heavy, able to live a good life, then Horesu will take you to the chief judge Ausari, and you will be given your sentence. And then you enter into the fields of reeds, Nikadzimu, and you get eternal life, or you will be reassigned back to the earth or to another assignment if you were very, very successful. In conclusion, therefore, let us read the following from the Kushite Kemetic Spiritual Science, published on the 29th of September 2018. You can get this from Facebook on their page. Very, 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 very important. The mighty and beautiful black killer whale, here shown here, is the most powerful animal in the world. It is not a whale, but gets its name from the fact that they hunt whales. The killer whale is also known for being one of a few that can defeat the great white shark. So how is it that such a mighty and fierce animal can become a pet whose jaws you can stick your head in without fear, like here? Because the trainers capture them while they are very young and train them into submission. This is how the once mighty African race, melanin dominant human beings, has now become a harmless pet. 99.9999% of the African race give their children to Eurocentric school system. They never teach them about their own history. They never talk about their own successes in the past. And this is how all these that go through educational system end up as pets, educated pets of the current system. If you want to learn more as well as contribute in cultural and spiritual congruence, so that together we can resolve current and every future challenge, get in touch with us via our email, john@marifado.com. You can also post your pro-Afro content without any undue hassles on our app, You can find our app on marfado.com website and then sign in, and then you sign in to connect.marfado.com, where you will be able to post your messages. This is how we will get there. Now, subscribe to our channel, Community Buru Ethics. This picture by NM Dumizulu saying we are rebuilding our greatness. Have a great day.